You've been looking for yourself in all the wrong places, not because you're careless, not because you haven't tried, but because the thing you're looking for doesn't show up where things usually show up. It has no edges, it casts no shadow. You could spend your whole life cataloging everything about you, your memories, your preferences, the scar on your knee, the way you laugh when you're nervous, and never once touch the part of you that's reading this sentence right now. That part has been there the whole time. It was there when you were 5 years old, staring at clouds. It was there last Tuesday when you were angry. It's here now, aware of these words appearing in sequence, one after another, like beads on a string. And the strangest thing, the thing that makes no sense until you look directly at it, is that this aware part of you has never changed. Not once, not ever. Everything else about you has changed. Your body has replaced itself cell by cell more times than you can count. Your opinions have reversed. Your memories have warped and faded. The person you were at 8 would barely recognize the person you are now. But the awareness watching all of that, the one that was looking out through your eyes then and is looking out through them now, it's the same one. You've never noticed this because noticing requires stepping back, and we almost never step back. We're too busy being the content, the thoughts, the feelings, the endless internal weather. We identify so completely with what's appearing in awareness that we forget to notice awareness itself. It's like spending your whole life watching a movie and never once wondering about the screen. But here's what happens when you do notice. You're sitting in traffic. The car in front of you hasn't moved in 3 minutes. You can feel the frustration building, that hot, tight feeling in your chest, the internal argument with reality about how things should be different. You're inside the frustration. You are the frustration. And then, just for a second, something shifts. You notice that you're noticing the frustration. You're aware of being frustrated. And in that moment of noticing, there's a tiny gap, a sliver of space between the awareness and the anger. The anger doesn't disappear, but suddenly there are 2 things instead of one, the anger and the awareness of the anger. And the awareness? It's completely calm. It's just watching. It's not angry about the anger. It's not frustrated about the frustration. It's just there, quietly registering what's happening, the same way it registered your joy yesterday and your boredom this morning, and every other state you've ever been in. That quiet observer, the one that's never disturbed by what it observes, is what I mean when I say the most important thing about you has no shape and never moves. Let's go deeper into the traffic jam, because that's where the ordinary becomes strange. You're gripping the steering wheel, your jaw is tight, the voice in your head is running its usual commentary. This is ridiculous, I'm going to be late, why is this always happening to me? The voice feels like you, it sounds like you, it uses your vocabulary, your tone, your grievances. Of course it's you, who else would it be? But then you notice something odd. You're hearing the voice, which means the voice and the hearer can't be the same thing. When the voice says, I'm going to be late, who's listening to that? When it says, this is ridiculous, who's aware of the ridiculousness? There's a thought, and then there's the awareness of the thought. 2 different things happening in 2 different registers. The thought is moving, it's arriving, persisting for a moment, then vanishing, replaced by the next thought. Thoughts are like cars in traffic. They show up, they pass through, they leave. They have momentum and direction and a beginning and an end. But the awareness of the thought? It's not moving at all. It's not arriving or departing. It's not getting closer or farther away. It's just here, constant, watching the thoughts scroll by like credits at the end of a film. You've been identified with the moving part for so long that the still part has become invisible. You think you are the stream of thoughts, the flow of feelings, the parade of sensations. But you're not. You're what's watching the parade. You're the space in which all of that is happening. And this space, it has no shape, it has no color, it has no location. If I asked you to point to it, you couldn't. If I asked you to describe it, you'd struggle. Because it's not a thing. It's the condition in which things appear. Try this right now. Don't just read the words, actually do it. Notice the room around you, the walls, the light, the objects within reach. Now notice that you're noticing. Feel the awareness that's registering the room. Where is that awareness? Is it in your head? Is it behind your eyes? Is it located in space at all? Or is it the other way around? Is space located in it? You can't find it, not because it's hidden, but because you can't stand outside of it to look. It's too close. It's what you're looking from. Trying to see awareness is like trying to see your own eyes without a mirror. You can see everything else, but the seer is always behind the scene, never in it. This is what makes it the most important thing about you. Everything you've ever experienced, every sight, sound, taste, touch, thought, feeling, memory, dream, has appeared in this awareness. Nothing has ever appeared anywhere else. Awareness is the only place anything has ever happened to you. It's the only place anything can happen. It's the stage on which your entire life has unfolded. And you've barely noticed it because you've been so absorbed in the play. Let's go even further. Let's go into the place where this starts to feel like a trick, where your mind resists, where you want to close the tab and go back to something that makes sense. You're lying in bed at night, thinking about something you said earlier that day. You replay the moment. You wince. You imagine what you should have said instead. You feel embarrassed all over again, even though no one else is in the room, even though the moment is long gone. The feeling is real. The discomfort is genuine. You are, in this moment, suffering over something that no longer exists except as a pattern of neurons firing in your brain. But the awareness watching you suffer? It's not suffering. It's just aware. It's observing the discomfort with perfect equanimity, the way you might observe a thunderstorm through a window. The storm is real. The storm is happening. But you're not the storm. You're the space in which the storm appears. This sounds cold. It sounds detached. It sounds like I'm telling you to stop caring, to numb yourself, to float above your life like some kind of enlightened ghost. But that's not what this is. This is the opposite of numbness. This is the difference between being lost in the storm and being with the storm. When you're lost in it, you are the chaos. When you're with it, you can feel it fully without being destroyed by it. The awareness doesn't run from pain. It doesn't push it away. It doesn't need pain to be different than it is. It just allows it. It holds it. It makes space for it. And in that space, something softens. Not because the pain goes away, but because the clench around it loosens. You stop fighting the fact that you're in pain. You stop being in pain about being in pain. There's just the pain and the awareness of it, and a strange kind of okayness underneath it all. You are still here, still breathing, still reading these words. The suffering is real, but you are larger than it. You have always been larger than it. Now let's widen the frame, because this isn't just about you. Look at the person sitting across from you on the subway. They're scrolling through their phone, face blank, shoulders hunched. You don't know their name. You don't know where they're going. You don't know what they're worried about, or what they did this morning, or what they dreamed last night. But you know one thing with absolute certainty. They have the same awareness you do. Right now, in them, there's a quiet observer watching thoughts, feelings, sensations. Right now, in them, there's a still point that's never moved, that was there when they were a child and will be there when they're old. Right now, in them, there's the same spacious knowing that's reading these words in you. Different contents, same awareness. Every human being you've ever passed on the street, every face in every crowd, every stranger in every city, is carrying this same silent witness. It's the one thing we all have in common that we never talk about. We talk about our differences. We argue about beliefs and identities and who deserves what. But underneath all of that, at the very foundation of experience, we're all made of the same stuff. We're all spaces in which the world appears. We're all apertures through which reality looks at itself. This doesn't erase individuality. You are still you. You still have your history, your personality, your particular way of moving through the world. But you're not only that. You're also this vast, open, unchanging awareness that holds all of it. And so is everyone else. We're all waves in the same ocean, thinking we're separate because we have different shapes. But the ocean is the same. The water is the same. The awareness is the same. What happens when you really see this? Not as an idea, but as a felt reality. What happens when you look at another person and recognize the awareness in them as the same awareness in you? You stop needing them to be different. You stop needing them to agree with you, to see things your way, to validate your version of reality. Because you see that they're not other. Not in the deepest sense. They're another expression of the same witnessing presence that you are. Hurting them is like your left hand hurting your right hand. It's possible, it happens all the time. But it's confusion. It's a failure to see what's actually true. This isn't a moral argument. This isn't me telling you to be kind because kindness is good. This is something more basic. When you see that the awareness in you and the awareness in them is the same awareness, harm stops making sense. Not because you've decided to be virtuous, but because you've seen through the illusion of separation. You can't unsee it. Once you know the ocean is one, you can't pretend the waves are truly separate. But let's be clear about what this isn't. This isn't an invitation to some blissed-out state where nothing matters and everything is perfect and you float through life untouched by struggle. That's the fantasy version. That's the spiritual bypass. That's what people sell when they want to package awareness into a product you can buy. The real thing is plainer than that, harder than that, more honest than that. You still get frustrated in traffic. You still feel the sting of rejection. You still worry about money and health and whether you said the wrong thing. The awareness doesn't make you invincible. It doesn't make life easy. It doesn't wrap you in some protective cocoon where nothing can touch you. What it does, what it actually does, is change your relationship to all of that. When you know you're not the frustration, you can feel it without being ruled by it. When you know you're not the worry, you can hold it without being consumed by it. The pain is still there, the difficulty is still real, but you're not as frightened of it. You're not as desperate to make it stop, because you've found the part of you that's okay even when things aren't okay, the part that's whole even when you feel broken, the part that's at rest even in the middle of chaos. This is the most important thing about you. because it's the one thing that can't be damaged. Your body will age and fail, your mind will slow, your relationships will change, your circumstances will shift in ways you can't control and didn't choose. But the awareness that's reading this, it will be exactly the same on the last day of your life as it is right now. It was never born, so it can't die. It never started, so it can't end. It's the one part of you that's permanent in a world where everything else is temporary. And the wild thing, the thing that makes absolutely no sense until you see it, is that it's not even really yours. It's not a possession. It's not a feature of you like your height or your voice. It's more fundamental than that. You don't have awareness. You are awareness, temporarily identified with a particular body, a particular history, a particular point of view. The awareness itself is impersonal. It's the same in you as it is in me, as it is in everyone. It's the light in which all experience appears, and it belongs to no one. This is where it gets strange. This is where the ground starts to feel less solid. If the awareness isn't yours, if it's the same in everyone, then what are you? If you're not the body, which is constantly changing, and you're not the thoughts which come and go, and you're not even the awareness which is universal, then what's left? Maybe the question is wrong. Maybe what am I is the wrong kind of question, because it assumes there's a fixed thing to be found, a core self you can locate and pin down. But what if there's no core? What if you're not a thing at all? What if you're a process, a flow, a constant becoming? What if the self you've been searching for your whole life is just a story you tell, a narrative you construct to make sense of the flow? The awareness doesn't care about this question. It's not disturbed by the possibility that the self is empty. It just watches. It observes the questioning. It holds the uncertainty without needing to resolve it. And in that watching, something relaxes. The need to know who you are, the desperate grasping for identity, for solidity, for something to hold on to, it loosens. Because the awareness doesn't need an answer. It's fine not knowing. It's been fine this whole time. Let's bring this back to your actual life. Because a reflection that stays in the abstract isn't worth much. You're in a conversation. Someone is saying something you disagree with. You can feel the rebuttal forming in your mind, the urge to interrupt, to correct, to make your point. This is normal. This is what conversations feel like from the inside. But then you notice the urge. You see the thought preparing to speak. You feel the tightness in your chest, the edge of defensiveness. And in the noticing, there's a pause, a gap, a moment where you're not inside the reaction, you're watching it. In that gap, you have a choice. You can speak from the reaction, or you can speak from the awareness. Speaking from the reaction is fast, automatic, driven. Speaking from the awareness is slower, more spacious, more curious. It doesn't mean you don't disagree. It doesn't mean you don't have a point to make. It just means you're not gripped by the need to win. You're holding your own perspective more lightly. You're allowing the other person's perspective to exist alongside yours without needing to crush it. This is what changes. Not the fact of disagreement, but the quality of it. Not the presence of strong feelings, but the relationship to them. You're still in your life with all its friction and difficulty and complexity, but you're in it differently. You're more here, more present, less lost in the story you're telling yourself about what's happening. Or you're trying to fall asleep and your mind won't stop. It's spinning through tomorrow's to-do list, replaying an argument from last week, inventing scenarios that will probably never happen. You're lying there, exhausted, frustrated, wishing the thoughts would just stop. But they don't. They keep coming. And the more you fight them, the louder they get. But then you remember, you notice the noticing. You become aware of the awareness that's watching the thoughts. And suddenly, the thoughts are just thoughts. They're not you. They're not commands. They're not truths. They're just events happening in the space of awareness, like clouds passing through a sky. You don't have to do anything with them. You don't have to believe them or obey them or push them away. You can just let them be, let them pass, let them dissolve back into the silence they came from. And in that allowing, the grip loosens, the body softens. Sleep comes not because you forced it, but because you stopped fighting. You let yourself be tired. You let the thoughts spin. You let the awareness hold all of it without needing it to be different. This is the skill. Learning to rest as awareness instead of being tossed around by the contents of awareness. It's not a technique you master once and then you're done. It's a kind of remembering you do again and again. A return to what's already here, already still, already whole. How do you practice this? How do you remember? You don't need a method. You don't need a teacher. You don't need to sit in a cave or chant in a language you don't understand. You just need to notice what's already happening. Right now, as you read this, you are aware. That's it. That's the whole thing. You don't have to generate awareness. You don't have to earn it or achieve it or become worthy of it. It's already here. It's what you are. You're just not paying attention to it. So pay attention to it. Not to the things you're aware of, the sounds, the sensations, the thoughts, but to the awareness itself. Notice the noticing. Feel the space in which everything is appearing. Rest there for a moment. Just a moment. That's all it takes to remember. And then you'll forget again. That's fine. That's how this works. You remember, you forget, you remember again, over and over. Each time you remember, the remembering gets a little easier. Each time you return, the return is a little quicker. Not because you're getting better at it, but because you're getting more familiar with what was already true. There's a question you've been carrying your whole life, even if you've never put it into words. The question is, am I okay? Deep down, underneath all the striving and achieving and defending, there's a quiet, persistent doubt. A fear that maybe you're not enough, that maybe something is fundamentally wrong with you, that if people really knew you, they'd see the flaw, the lack, the insufficiency at your core. You've been trying to answer this question through accomplishment, through relationships, through anything that might prove your worth. But the question never goes away. No matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you're loved, the doubt remains. Because you're asking the wrong part of yourself. You're asking the contents. You're asking the thoughts and feelings and stories about who you are. And the contents are always changing, always uncertain, always open to question. You can't find solid ground there. You can't find the reassurance you're looking for. But the awareness was never in doubt. It doesn't question itself. It doesn't wonder if it's enough. It just is, completely, utterly, without reservation. And when you rest as awareness, even for a moment, the question dissolves, not because you've found an answer, but because you've seen that the question was based on a misunderstanding. You were asking if the wave is okay when you are the ocean. You were asking if the image in the mirror is real when you are the space in which the mirror appears. You are okay. You have always been okay. Not the you that's a collection of traits and memories and accomplishments. That you is fragile, impermanent, subject to doubt. But the deeper you, the awareness that holds all of that, it's unshakable. It can't be harmed. It can't be diminished. It can't be lost. This is what I mean when I say the most important thing about you has no shape and never moves. It's not an object you can grasp. It's not a state you can achieve. It's what you already are, beneath the layers of identity and story and fear. It's the silent, spacious knowing that's been here all along, patient and still, waiting for you to notice. And now you have, even if just for a moment, even if you forget again tomorrow. Something has shifted. You've glimpsed the screen behind the movie. You've felt the ocean beneath the wave. You can't unknow it. You can't unsee it. The door has opened, just a crack, and through that crack, everything looks different. Not because the world has changed, but because you've remembered what you are. You are still here, still breathing, still reading these words. And the part of you that's reading, the aware, awake, unchanging part, is the same part that was reading the first sentence. Nothing has happened to it. It hasn't moved. It hasn't grown or shrunk or shifted. It's just here, as it always has been, as it always will be. Constant, still, whole. This is the ground beneath your feet. This is the home you've been searching for. Not out there in some future achievement or perfect relationship or ideal life, but here, now, in the simple, obvious, easily missed fact of your own awareness. What would it be like to live from here? To let this be your foundation, instead of the endless stream of thoughts and feelings and judgments? What would it be like to move through your days knowing that the deepest part of you is untouchable, unshakable, already at rest? It wouldn't make you superhuman. It wouldn't make your problems disappear. But it would make you less frightened, less defended, less desperate for things to be different than they are. Because you'd know that no matter what happens, no matter what you lose or fail at or struggle with, the awareness remains. The ground remains. The home remains. You can return to it any time, in the middle of an argument, in the grip of anxiety, in the depths of grief. Just by noticing, just by feeling the awareness that's aware of the pain, just by remembering that you are not the weather, you are the sky in which the weather appears. This is not a fix. This is not a solution. This is a shift in where you stand. And from this new place, everything is workable. Everything can be met. Not because it's easy, but because you're big enough to hold it. You've spent your whole life looking for yourself in the shapes, in the roles you play, the stories you tell, the things you accomplish. But you are not a shape. You are what shapes appear in. You are the canvas, not the painting, the space, not the objects, the awareness, not the contents. And this awareness, this formless, boundless, unchanging presence, is the most important thing about you because it's the only thing about you that's true all the way down. Everything else is negotiable, everything else is temporary. But this is what you are when everything else is stripped away. This is what remains when all the stories end. And it's enough. It's more than enough. It's everything. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Right now, as you finish this, write one sentence in the comments that proves you stayed until the end. Write it in your own words, from your own understanding. I am the awareness in which my life appears. Or say it however it landed for you, however it feels true. Make it yours. Let me know this reached you. Let me know you saw it. And then, if something in you feels quieter now, if some small part of you has softened or opened or remembered, watch one of the videos on screen. Let this continue. Let this deepen. Because the most important thing about you is already here, already whole, already waiting. You just have to keep noticing. You are still here, still breathing, still aware. That's all you've ever needed to be.